I finished my high school degree in the Netherlands, and my plan after high school was to take an arts degree. However, I failed the entrance exam at the Arts Academy because my DVD didn't work due to technical reasons. And then my father gave me some of the most profound advice I've ever received. He said, "Congratulations, son. You've just saved yourself 4 years. Otherwise, you would be unemployed with an arts degree. Now you're unemployed today. I suggest you go and find yourself a job." Carbol helps coffee brands reduce their impact on the climate by rewarding small-scale farmers for storing carbon. We use space data from ESA-operated satellites such as Sentinel-2, and we use these to first accurately measure the amount of carbon that is stored in biomass at individual farms. Then we use these data to calculate how much carbon farmers can save by protecting the trees that are already standing there. And we allow the coffee brands to financially reward their farmers for storing that carbon. I was lucky enough that I started programming from a very young age, from when I was 13, and I always loved programming, although I must admit I wasn't very good at it, but I was good enough to make simple stuff that I could sell. A few years later, when I met my wife, and you should know my wife is originally Jamaican and her family are coffee farmers in Jamaica, I realized how much more exciting the coffee industry was than everything I was doing at the time. So I decided to make a radical career switch and go into coffee instead. And I had a great time working as a roaster first and later as a trader. But the more I learned about coffee, the more frustrated I got by the fact that the people who produce it are not able to provide a decent standard of living for their families. And especially when I also learned about the impact that coffee has on the climate negatively due to deforestation, I realized I had to do something. And what was interesting is that this brought together my previous background in technology and everything I had learned about coffee in the last 15 years. What I learned working in the space sector is that there's upstream, basically sending stuff from Earth into space, and downstream, using information from space on Earth. And I think a lot of people don't know how large the downstream space sector is. And with satellite data, we have a much better overview and we can scan and quantify deforestation at thousands of different farms at the same time. We wouldn't be able to do this work without the data from the European Space Agency, because then we wouldn't have all these insights that we know. The space sector doesn't only employ rocket scientists, but people from very diverse backgrounds. It's very international and not everybody has a technical university degree. I came into the space sector from a business angle, and I've seen plenty of people enter the space sector that way. But I've, of course, also seen people with technical degrees or technical backgrounds who work more on the hardware or the in-depth data analysis. I think everybody will find their own path. In Europe, we are so privileged with the access to the space sector that we have, both in terms of data from the satellites, as well as in terms of funding. So I can really recommend building space startups to young people who are starting their careers now.